Welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into a story that is filled with action, drama, and fantasy. So make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. After slaying a Kikimora and bringing it to Blaviken for payment, Geralt of Rivia faces suspicion from the townsfolk. There, he meets Stregobor, who is a mage disguised as Master Irian, who asks him to kill Renfri, a princess who is allegedly cursed by the Black Sun prophecy. Geralt, however, declines, disputing Stregobor's claim that she is a supernatural being meant to cause destruction. Renfri meets Geralt outdoors and promises to murder anyone who shows up for him. With that, Geralt asks her to leave, even though he feels drawn to her. After they spend the night together, Renfri leads an attack on the town, forcing Geralt to kill her. Dying, she foretells he will meet a girl in the woods. Outraged by Stregobor's indifference, Geralt leaves as the horrified villagers drive him out with stones, which fulfills Renfri's prophecy. Meanwhile, Princess Ciri, the crown princess of Cintra, witnesses Cintra's fall to Nilfgaard, a powerful and expansionist empire. With this, her grandmother, Queen Calanthe, orders her to find Geralt. The castle suffers damage and mass suicide, and Ciri's scream devastates the land, allowing her to escape into the wilderness. To investigate a grain-stealing devil, Geralt reluctantly partners with Jaskier the Bard, only to discover they are actually elves led by Filavandrel, whose people are oppressed. With that, Geralt decides to spare them, which impresses Filavandrel, so he lets them go, and Jaskier later immortalizes the event in song. Meanwhile, Yennefer, a hunchback, is sold by her father for 4 marks and taken to Aretuza, where she struggles to control magic. There, Istred, a sorcerer and scholar, helps her learn about her elven heritage and begins mastering chaos. However, she soon witnesses Tissaia, one of her rector and mentor, transform the failing students into eels to power the academy. Elsewhere, Ciri, who is still fleeing from Nilfgaard, meets the elf Dara, who saves her from poison and helps her escape. Meanwhile, in Temeria, a deadly monster terrorizes their workers, which prompts Geralt to take the contract after another witcher, Remus, fails to kill it. He insists on payment only after the job is done. However, Ostrit, the king's advisor, and his guards drive the workers away before Geralt can act. Geralt discovers that the attacks originate from the crypt of Princess Ada, the king's sister, who passed away while pregnant, with the aid of expert mage Triss Marigold. He determines that the creature must be a Striga, which is Ada's cursed undead child, after examining the victims. King Foltest is soon confronted by Geralt, who verifies that the Striga is, in fact, his daughter from an incestuous union with his sister. Foltest lets Geralt try to break the curse in spite of his rage. Geralt traps Ostrit, who turns out to be Ada's secret lover, in the crypt after learning of its origins, but the Striga kills him before he can launch an attack. Geralt spends the night battling the Striga, preventing her from returning to her tomb until dawn, which will break the curse. When the Striga reverts to a human girl, she manages to injure Geralt before passing out. Triss heals him and reveals that Foltest made up a heroic story about Ostrit. Though she questions Geralt for whispering Renfri's name, he is confident the princess will be cared for in secret. After slaying a Selkimor, a seawater monster, Geralt meets with Jaskier and is brought to a royal betrothal banquet in Cintra as the bard's bodyguard. Queen Calanthe is seeking a husband for her daughter Pavetta and is immediately impressed by Geralt's honesty, though she secretly intends to marry Pavetta to a Skelliger noble. However, the banquet is disrupted when Urchian of Erlenwald, or Duny, a cursed knight claiming Pavetta through the Law of Surprise, arrives, and Geralt defends him when Calanthe orders his execution. Soon, a violent magical vortex erupts when Pavetta's powers explode. Geralt and Mousesack work together to contain it, which earns Queen Calanthe's approval of Pavetta's union with Duny. His curse is broken when they kiss, revealing his human form. He also offers Geralt a reward. Pavetta then vomits after Geralt jokingly mentions the Law of Surprise, revealing she is pregnant and links her unborn child, Ciri, to Geralt's destiny. Elsewhere, Yennefer discovers the boundaries of her power after failing to protect Queen Callis and her child from an assassination attempt. Meanwhile, Ciri encounters the Dryads in Brokulon, and her unharmed drinking of the sacred water confirms she possesses a mysterious, ancient power. Years later, Jaskier finds Geralt fishing for a djinn to cure his insomnia. Jaskier is cursed and begins coughing up blood after releasing the spirit. Because of this, Geralt brings him to Rinda, where Yennefer heals Jaskier while secretly plotting to capture the djinn for herself. Realizing her plan would kill her, Geralt uses his last wish to bind their fates and save her. Once the djinn vanishes, Geralt can finally sleep peacefully beside Yennefer. Meanwhile, Mousesack is killed by a Doppler who impersonates him to lure Ciri out of Brokulon Forest. Shortly after that, Geralt encounters Borch 3 Jackdaws and his Zerrikanian friends who request that he and Jaskier join in dragon hunting. Geralt first declines, but eventually does so after recognizing Yennefer among the opposing teams. When the hunt starts, dwarves, reavers, and Yennefer's knightly partner, Sir Ike, battle for the treasure. However, Ike slaughters a harmless Herica before dying mysteriously, causing the hunters to seek a dwarven route through the hills. There, Borsch and his guards are killed, leaving only Geralt, Yennefer, and Jaskier fighting alone. The next day, Yennefer and Geralt find the wounded Mirgtabraka guarding her egg, alongside Borsch, who is revealed to be villain Trettenmirth. When the Reavers attack, Geralt and Yennefer fight together to protect the egg and defeat the hunters. Villain Trettenmirth thanks them and reveals Geralt's djinn wish that he and Yennefer never lose each other. However, Yennefer becomes enraged that her freedom is constrained, so she abandons him. Meanwhile, the Doppler impersonating Mousesack leads Ciri and Dara out of Brokilon. Dara grows suspicious, so Ciri asks probing questions, which prompts the Doppler to reveal itself. Following a violent confrontation, the Doppler flees and Dara abandons Ciri, while Kaer, a Nilfgaardian officer, vows to pursue her. When Geralt learns Nilfgaard is marching on Cintra and rushes to find Ciri, he fights assassins in the castle and demands Calanthe take Ciri to safety, but she refuses and sends a doppelganger while hiding the real Ciri. After that, Iced, a knight and commander, traps Geralt outside, and when Nilfgaard attacks, he fights through the chaos and witnesses Calanthe's death as the city burns. In Nazaire, Yennefer visits Istred in hopes of rekindling their relationship, but he has already moved on. There, she meets Vilgefortz, who urges her to return to Aretuza as Nilfgaard threatens the north, and reunites with Tissaia while the mages debate intervention. Meanwhile, Fringilla, who is now Nilfgaard's court mage, advises inaction, but Tissaia secretly organizes a group to fight. Meanwhile, Ciri has been betrayed by local boys, and in desperation, she unleashes a powerful magical surge as an ancient voice speaks through her. Wanting to protect Ciri, Geralt wanders through Cintra and meets Yerga, who is a merchant burying victims of a Nilfgaardian raid. Ignoring Geralt's warning about necrophages, Yerga stays, and Geralt saves him when the monsters attack, but he is still bitten in the process. As Yerga carries the wounded witcher through Soden, Geralt drifts in and out of visions of Vesemir, who raised him and his mother, Vizenna. He murmurs Yennefer's name as explosions echo from Soden Hill before losing consciousness. Suddenly, Vizenna appears that night to heal Geralt, though he can't tell if she is real or just a vision. When he asks if the Doppler posing as Mousesack leads Ciri and Dara out of Brokilon, carefully mimicking the druid's every move. Dara, however, grows increasingly suspicious of the strange behaviors she observes, prompting Ciri to ask questions that pierce the illusion. Cornered, the Doppler reveals its true form, and a violent confrontation ensues. Ciri manages to fend it off, forcing the creature to flee, but Dara abandons her in fear, leaving the young princess alone and vulnerable. Meanwhile, Kaer, a Nilfgaardian officer with a personal interest in Ciri, vows to track her down, setting the stage for future pursuit. Geralt rushes towards Cintra in search of his child of surprise after learning that the Nilfgaardian army is moving closer to the city. He battles assassins sent to obstruct him as he makes his way through the castle's maze-like hallways. He then confronts Queen Calanthe and demands that she take Ciri to safety. However, Calanthe rejects his demands and tricks him by sending Ciri's impersonator while hiding the real princess among peasant kids. A devoted knight and Cintran force commander named Iced traps Geralt outside during the chaos, keeping him from going back to the castle. When Nilfgaard finally launches an attack, Geralt battles his way through and sees Queen Calanthe die as Cintra is destroyed by flames. Meanwhile, Yennefer searches for Istred in Nazaire, far to the south, in an attempt to rekindle their previous relationship. But she discovers that he has moved on with his life. As Nilfgaard's threat to the north increases, she meets Vilgefortz, a cunning mage who begs her to return to Aretuza. As Yennefer, reunited with Tissaia, observes the mages discussing whether or not to get involved in the impending battle. Now working as Nilfgaard's court mage, Fringilla advises inaction, but Tissaia secretly gathers a group of mages prepared to combat the invaders. Ciri, meanwhile, must navigate her own perilous course. She unleashes a devastating burst of magical energy after being betrayed by the local boys who tried to capture her. She hears an ancient, otherworldly voice that foreshadows the destiny she is starting to embrace and indicates the potential of her abilities. Geralt, determined to keep Ciri safe, stumbles across Yerga, a merchant burying Nilfgaardian raid victims, while exploring the smoldering ruins of Cintra. Yerga stays put despite Geralt's warnings about necrophages, only for the lethal animals to attack. But when Geralt intervenes to save Yerga, he is bitten to death. As Yerga carries the injured witcher through the mist of Soden, Geralt drifts between consciousness and visions of Vesemir, his mentor, along with Vizenna, his mother. Amid explosions echoing from the distant battle of Soden Hill, Geralt murmurs Yennefer's name before succumbing to unconsciousness. That night, Vizenna appears to Geralt, healing his wounds. Uncertain whether she is truly present or a figment of his imagination, Geralt asks if she knew he might die during the trial of the grasses. Vizenna offers no reply and vanishes by morning. Grateful to Yerga for his aid, Geralt refuses his offer of the Law of Surprise. At Soden Hill, Yennefer and Tissaia lead a valiant defense against Nilfgaard. When the fortress starts to collapse, Tissaia exhorts Yennefer to fully channel the chaos of battle as Fringilla unleashes devastating fire magic, severely damaging the defenders. Yennefer accepts the challenge, absorbs the battlefield's flames, and unleashes a huge conflagration that destroys Nilfgaard's army before disappearing into thin air. Elsewhere, Ciri awakens in the ruins of Zola's home after releasing her latent power against her attackers. Drawn by destiny, she wanders into the surrounding forest and finally encounters Geralt. In a moment of relief and tentative connection, they embrace. Yet even in that moment, Ciri's thoughts remain on the mystery of her future and the powerful sorceress who has shaped so much of her life. Softly, she asks, "Who is Yennefer?" After the Battle of Soden Hill, Tissaia searches the dead's memories in an attempt to find Yennefer. When Geralt and Ciri arrive, they learn Yennefer is missing and presumed dead. To seek refuge, Geralt takes Ciri to Kaer Morhen, which is the Witcher's stronghold. Along the way, they stop in an abandoned village where they find a mutilated deer and encounter Nivellen, who is an old friend cursed to live as a beast. As Nivellen welcomes Geralt and Ciri into his home, Ciri senses someone watching them. When Geralt learns that villagers nearby have been murdered, his suspicion grows. Following this, Nivellen admits to a dark past and hints that his curse is bound to love and blood. Geralt soon discovers that Nivellen has been hiding Verena, who is a Bruxa who's been preying on the villagers. A brutal fight breaks out after that, and as a result, Verena is slain and Nivellen's curse is finally lifted. After that, Nivellen confesses his sin is not desecrating a temple, but raping a priestess, and realizes his curse was just. Although he is freed, he remains broken and guilty. With this, Geralt vows to teach Ciri how to face her fears and survive the darkness ahead. Meanwhile, Yennefer is revealed to be captured by Fringilla and the other retreating Nilfgaardians. Yennefer dreams of a peaceful life with Geralt. However, when she wakes up, she discovers that she has been held captive by the elves, and she and Fringilla are brought before Francesca, their leader, guided by prophetic visions. Each woman sees a mysterious figure in red, black, and white, an ancient being known as the Deathless Mother. Meanwhile, Geralt and Ciri arrive at Kaer and reunite with witchers like Vesemir and Lambert. Just then, Eskel returns from a hunt, wounded by a leshy but unaware he's been infected. As Ciri struggles to prove herself, Geralt recognizes that her power is far greater than he imagined. In a hidden temple, Yennefer, Fringilla, and Francesca uncover runes tied to the Mother of Forests. The Deathless Mother tempts each of them with their deepest desires but strips Yennefer of her chaos, leaving her powerless. At Kaer Morhen, Geralt is forced to kill Eskel after he mutates into a leshy, and though grief-stricken, Vesemir supports his choice. That night, Yennefer realizes that she has truly lost her magic, while Geralt vows to train Ciri, marking the start of her path as a witcher in training. At Kaer Morhen, Geralt urges Ciri to rest after her training, though she still struggles to complete the course. As Vesemir performs an autopsy on Eskel, tensions rise among the witchers. Despite Geralt's pleas to let Eskel rest, Vesemir is determined to find answers. Meanwhile, Yennefer, who has long been presumed dead, returns to Aretuza, where Tissaia defends her before the council. Stregobor, however, accuses her of treachery due to her elven blood. In the midst of all these, Francesca and Fringilla strengthen Nilfgaard's alliance with the elves. As Yennefer struggles with the loss of her magic, Triss also grapples with the trauma and scars from Soden. When Tissaia asks her to kill Cahir to prove her loyalty, Yennefer refuses, unwilling to commit murder just for political gain. At Kaer Morhen, Ciri impresses Geralt, who reminds her that greatness comes with death. Determined, she attempts the Witcher course again and nearly completes it. Soon, they hunt the forest where Geralt and Ciri encounter a monstrous creature that killed the leshy responsible for Eskel's infection, and Geralt kills it after a fierce battle. Later, Yennefer defies orders during Cahir's execution. Instead, she frees him and escapes. On the other hand, Geralt continues Ciri's training with Triss's help. But soon, Triss discovers fragments of stellacite from a monolith inside the leshy that killed Eskel while tending to her wounds. Geralt suspects there must be a connection between Ciri's powers and the monsters after she reveals breaking a monolith during Cintra's fall. Meanwhile, Yennefer and Cahir flee through Oxenfurt sewers with two elves heading to Shintrea. A tentacled creature kills one, and Yennefer narrowly escapes now that her powers are gone. At a tavern, they encounter Jaskier, the Sandpiper, who helps the elves escape the north. Elsewhere, the powerful northern kingdom named Redania's spymaster, Dijkstra, uses the elf Dara as an informant to plot control of Cintra after saving King Vesemir, their ruler, from an assassination. At Kaer Morhen, Triss shares her struggles with magic with Ciri, and scolds Lambert and Cohen for mistreating her. To learn more about Ciri's abilities, Geralt sets out to meet Istred. Vesemir also notices Feyenoed flowers growing where Ciri bled, which is a sign of the elder blood that is thought to be extinct, making her realize she could create new witches. On the other hand, Yennefer hears Jaskier scream as they part ways and discovers only only his loot when she approaches, signaling that danger has returned. Soon after, a fire mage named Rience is released from 10 years in prison by Lydia, a Nilfgaardian sorceress, and is given the task with finding Princess Ciri. Meanwhile, Geralt visits Istred to investigate the strange monsters emerging from a shattered monolith near Cintra, proving Istred wrong about its unbreakable nature. However, their study is soon interrupted by Nilfgaardian guards, and Geralt is forced to fight, turning their alliance into violence. Back at Kaer Morhen, Triss urges Ciri to be careful while she undergoes training. Vesemir believes her elder blood might restore the Witcher mutagen, and with Ciri's permission, he and Triss extract a vial that astonishingly works. Using Dol Durza, a magical artifact, Triss uncovers Ciri's hidden memories, where she witnesses Pavetta, Duni, and Laradoran's prophecy foretelling the world's rebirth through elder blood and flame. The vision ends with the Wild Hunt, and Ciri's scream shakes the Witcher medallion tree, even reaching Geralt underground. On the other hand, Yennefer searches for Jaskier and finds him being tortured by Rience. She rescues him by pretending to be his drunken wife and setting the mage's face on fire with alcohol. Later, Yennefer is captured by the Redanian agents, but the Deathless Mother uses her regained power to compel her to bring Ciri to a broken black door outside Cintra. And after a fierce battle, Geralt and Ciri slay the escaped Chernobog that killed Roach. At Kaer Morhen, Rience steals the new mutagen, revealing just how dangerous it is. Seeking refuge, Geralt takes Ciri to Melitele's temple, where Nenneca teaches her to control chaos and warns that many will be coveted by her elder blood. In Cintra, Fringilla and Francesca grow close, and Francesca gives birth to the first pure-blooded elf in centuries, giving her people hope. However, this brings fear to Cahir, who thinks the elves may no longer need Nilfgaard. Soon, rumors spread that the White Flame is approaching. When Rience meets with Lydia, Codrinker and Fen also tells Istred that Ciri descends from Laradoran, which is an elven weapon of vengeance. Meanwhile, Yennefer reunites with Geralt and meets Ciri at the temple, earning her trust in the process. When Rience and the Michelet brothers attack, Geralt kills the assassins, but Yennefer helps Ciri escape through a portal despite his pleas. Meanwhile, Triss warns Tissaia that a single drop of Ciri's blood could either remake or destroy the world, depending on who gets hold of it. After discovering Redanian coins on the Michelet brothers, Geralt also recovers with Nenneca's help as she urges him to protect Ciri. On the other hand, Ciri accidentally uses her powers to transport herself and Yennefer to Zola's ruined home, which is now destroyed by the Fire Mage. Yennefer convinces her to stay together instead of facing danger alone. At Aretuza, Vilgefortz, a powerful and ambitious mage, clashes with Tissaia because of political tension, while Cahir and Fringilla struggle to maintain the elves' loyalty and rebuild Nilfgaard's forces. At the same time, Rience's experiment with Ciri's mutagen blood leaves Lydia horribly disfigured. Meanwhile, Geralt rescues Jaskier and joins Yarpen Zegrin's company before setting out for Cintra to find Ciri. As they travel, Ciri struggles to control her chaos, so she ends up accidentally teleporting them over a damaged bridge. Seeing this, Yennefer teaches her to wield her power without fear. Meanwhile, Vilgefortz and Triss clash after Triss informs Tissaia that Ciri survived Soden. When Ciri and Yennefer reach the broken black door, chaos suddenly erupts, drawing the attention of the Nilfgaardian guards, and Yarpen, Jaskier, and Geralt step in to help. Inside Nilfgaard, Filavandrel and Francesca's child is killed, allowing Voleth Mir, the Deathless Mother, to seize control over Ciri. Ciri wakes up inside a dream world controlled by Voleth Mir. Geralt and Yennefer explain that the demon feeds on pain and exploits vulnerability. At Kaer Morhen, Voleth Mir summons basilisks and kills several witchers as Geralt and Vesemir hold the keep. Meanwhile, Yennefer brews a potion with Jasper to free Ciri. Inside the dream, Ciri meets Mousesack and her family, where she finds out the truth about her power and lineage. However, Yennefer sacrifices herself by letting the Deathless Mother possess her instead. Geralt, Yennefer, and Ciri then work together to trap Voleth Mir and destroy her monsters. With Vesemir and the memory of her parents' help, Ciri begins to master her chaos. With Emir's arrival in Cintra, Fringilla and Cahir staged an elven rebellion, and Dijkstra discovers Ciri. Geralt realizes that many factions now share an interest in Ciri, while Yennefer regains her strength. Together, the three prepare to face the Nilfgaard, the Northern Mages, and the Wild Hunt as Ciri steps toward her destiny. Still hunted by Rience, Ciri, Yennefer, and Geralt stay on the move. Yennefer trains Ciri in magical control, and the trio takes refuge with Yarpen Zegrin long enough to set a trap for Rience. Meanwhile, the political turmoil deepens as Vizimir and Radovid fight for influence. At the ruins of Sharawed, the group is reminded of the continent's long history of violence and the dangers coming to them. As Yennefer and Ciri travel to Aretuza, Yennefer steps back into mage politics while Ciri's visions hint at incoming danger. Geralt also tracks Rience near Vulpan and discovers that the Fire Mage serves a far more powerful sorcerer. In Nilfgaard, Emhyr speaks of uniting the continent, even when a monstrous construct construct tied to Rience emerges as a new threat. Soon after, Geralt investigates Terran, who is a mind-controlled imposter that mimics Ciri. At Aretuza, Yennefer and Ciri face the hidden dangers and political intrigue as their mission becomes tangled with both Nilfgaard and Redania. After rescuing Terran, Geralt prepares for Ciri's protection once more, but the sudden return of the Wild Hunt signals danger. If you're enjoying this recap so far, please hit like and subscribe for more. Following Emhyr's orders, Kaer murders Gallatin to secure his position, while Yennefer works to build alliances among the mages of Redania and Aretuza. Despite this, the Book of Monoliths and the sudden disappearance of novices reveal a growing magical conspiracy. On the other hand, Geralt teaches Ciri responsibility and control as she continues to develop her abilities. But tension escalates across the continent as preparations for the Conclave of Mages begin. During the Conclave ball, Geralt and Yennefer uncover the Book of Monoliths and expose Stregobor's crimes. Geralt also confesses his love for Yennefer there, while the political schemes, rising magical threats, and Ciri's evolving powers set the stage for larger conflicts. Rience's actions and Vilgefortz's manipulation are revealed to be part of a much deeper plot that is centered on Ciri. Soon, Redania exposes Vilgefortz's alliance with Nilfgaard and moves to expel the mages of Aretuza. During the chaos, Yennefer kills Lydia, and Ciri escapes the Redanians by fleeing into the forest. Francesca, Fringilla, and Kaer also lead a siege on Aretuza and end up overwhelming the defenders despite their fierce resistance. With that, Tissaia and the mages fall. On the shore, Vilgefortz attacks Geralt and nearly kills him. Not long after, Geralt, Yennefer, and Ciri eventually reunite, but when Geralt tries to restrain Ciri, she uses her power to drag Vilgefortz into Tor Lara. Good thing Triss manages to rescue the injured Geralt while the surviving mages escape the ruins. After that, Ciri travels through a portal to a vast desert where she faces sand monsters, visions of Falca, and other harsh survival trials. Guided by a unicorn, she learns to embrace her abilities and control fire magic, despite fearing betrayal from those she trusts. Meanwhile, Jaskier searches for Geralt and Ciri, and Geralt appears in Brokilon Forest under the care of the Dryads. In the north, Radovid declares the Second War, believing Ciri has been lost, and the kingdoms begin to move again. While Geralt, Jaskier, and Milva fight through Nilfgaardian soldiers in their quest to rescue Ciri, Yennefer is rallying the remaining Aretuza mages to stand against Vilgefortz. In Redania, Eva assassinates Vizimir, allowing Radovid to claim the throne. Ciri is also held captive, but she escapes with the help of a bandit group. Declaring, "Call me Falca," she embraces her ancestors' legacy and asserts her independence. A century after the days of Geralt, Ciri, and Yennefer, a young Nimue is sitting beside the storyteller Strybog, who insists he draws all his knowledge from Jaskier's book, a half-century of poetry. As he speaks, a montage of Geralt battling Kikimoris, facing deadly creatures, and clashing with Vilgefortz appears. While Strabog spins his tales, Nimue brings up Cirilla and the Lady of the Lake, which hints that Ciri's legend still lives through time. As Geralt heads toward Nilfgaard with Milva and Jaskier, they fight ambushes and scarred villages. He spares the injured Kaer, who trails the group and repeatedly steps in to help despite his wounds, while the light moments with Percival, Zoltan, and other refugees break up the violence. Meanwhile, Ciri escapes her captors and falls in with the rats named Missile, Kaylee, Giselher, and the rest. After a failed heist, she seals a blood pact with them and declares her independence, vowing to build her own army as she embraces a new identity. Before Yennefer can push her plan to build an army of sorceresses, she hunts down renegade mages working for Vilgefortz, facing danger, illusions, and even possession along the way. In Nilfgaard, Emperor Emhyr keeps a close watch on Terran, the false Ciri, until he confirms she's an imposter and begins to move against Vilgefortz. Across the north, the rulers assemble, and Radovid is left isolated, while Dijkstra scrambles to protect himself politically, straining his alliance with Philippa and the other sorceresses. Geralt's leg injury worsens as his horse stops at Fen Karn, which is a haunted elven graveyard. There, they battle a wraith and rescue Jaskier, and the group grows stronger with the arrival of Regis, who is a barber surgeon. Soon, Geralt and Ciri share a vision that blurs reality. As Ciri pulls off her first heist with the rats, she proves her cleverness during a debate over tactics. Afterward, the group inducts her with a blood pact, signaling Ciri's emerging leadership. Meanwhile, Yennefer presses forward in her hunt for Vilgefortz, recruiting Fringilla and Philippa. Together, they clash with renegade mages and uncover Vilgefortz's threat reach. Soon, Emhyr exposes Terran's deception in Nilfgaard after testing her sword skills. On the other hand, Vilgefortz secretly imprisons Istred and exploits Fringilla's loyalty and her knowledge of Dimeridium to force Istred into serving him. In a playful nod, Yennefer watches a risque play portraying herself and Geralt. When Francesca refuses to help, Yennefer swallows a magical feather, turns Francesca into a tiny jade statue, and departs for Monte Calvo. There, she gathers a powerful group of sorceresses, including Triss, Sabrina, Margarita, Asaya, Zymer, and Ida. After Francesca recounts Lara Doran's story and the importance of Ciri's elder blood, she agrees to join. The war's devastation becomes clear when Geralt and his Hanza reach a large refugee camp. There, a young girl named Beata accuses her sister of witchcraft, which forces Geralt into a trial by ordeal. Though Regis tries to prove the girl's innocence, chaos erupts as a mob and Nilfgaardian soldiers attack, leaving many dead. Meanwhile, Ciri completes her first solo heist with the rats, capturing Lady Gilda and evading their pursuers. Her skill and leadership shine as her bond with Missile deepens. In the end, Ciri fends off bounty hunters targeting her royal identity. As Vilgefortz's portal-blocking method is revealed, Fringilla's value to him is slowly revealing. Skellen schemes to use the rats and the real Ciri to undermine Nilfgaard, while Emir confronts Vilgefortz over the fake Ciri. At the same time, the arrival of Leo Bonhart, who is a deadly mercenary tasked with hunting Ciri and the rats, establishes a new threat. When Geralt wakes in a war camp, he discovers that he and Jaskier are now held prisoners by the combined Cintran-Redanian force. Marshal Visigurd accuses Geralt of neglecting Ciri and conspires to execute him for the alleged Nilfgaardian collusion. Meanwhile, King Radovid and Dijkstra engage in political maneuvering, wherein Dijkstra uses Geralt as a pawn to maintain control over the spy network. Just as Geralt faces execution, Redanian agent Eva stops them. The Hanza's bonds grow stronger as Cahir joins, sharing his visions of Ciri and pledging his loyalty, while Milva fends off villagers trying to steal her horse. In a Greylock cave, Ciri and Missile face danger as Geralt silently endures Dijkstra's torture, calling out Ciri's name. Jaskier also rejects Radovid after a confrontation, and by morning the king loses control, so he banishes Dijkstra and prepares for battle. To avoid threat, Regis releases Geralt and Jaskier, tending their wounds and supplies them with Witcher elixirs. At Stygia Castle, Istred and Yennefer study Avalach's notes to understand Vilgefortz's schemes and Ciri's elder blood powers. Yennefer trains a group of sorceresses, including Philippa, Francesca, Triss, and other allies, turning Monte Calvo into their defense. As days pass, their mastery grows. Their sparring sessions proves their readiness for Vilgefortz's attack. Taking Vesemir's advice, Yennefer combines her Witcher combat techniques with sorcery to maximize their defenses. Ciri and the rats are constantly in danger from deadly threats. After a successful heist, Ciri gains fame, grows personally, and improves her connection with Missile. Their ability to fight is tested when a parasite-infested Greylock attacks. Unbeknownst to them, Leo Bonhart watches from the shadows and is captivated by Ciri's skill right away. Missile's understanding of Rocaine suggests something more complicated, and her telepathic connection with Geralt helps guide her in combat. Soon after the war camp battle, Milva, Jaskier, Zoltan, and Yarpen reveal the Hanza's motivations, traumas, and pasts. While Jaskier performs a musical that tells the story of his rivalry with Valdo Marx, Milva recounts her life in Brokilon and with the Scoia'tael. In the meanwhile, Regis looks at his 428-year life, telling Bethan about his tragic past, his consequences from his attacks, and his refusal to drink human blood. Cahir talks about his connection to Ciri's family and his early years in Vicovaro, where he served under the cursed Duny. After that, Geralt gradually acknowledges the Hanza as companions, and their evening together is full of jokes, loyalty, and bonding, establishing them ready for the journey ahead. Just then, Vilgefortz launches a devastating assault on the castle, setting off the Battle of Monte Calvo. Along with a group of strong sorceresses, Yennefer uses protective spells, illusions, and devastating magical duels to defend the fortress. Many people die in the chaos, including Margarita, who gives her life to save the newcomers, Josephus, who is killed by Yennefer, and Vesemir, who confronts Vilgefortz head-on. Yennefer suddenly decides to spare Vilgefortz, putting his knowledge ahead of revenge, just as she has him in her control. The monolith that is in charge of the portals is bravely destroyed by Istred, giving the sorceresses their strategic edge back. After the portals are working again, Yennefer teleports to Nilfgaard in order to pursue Ciri. Ciri and the rats are creating their own path at the same time. They embrace the rebellious legacy of Falka, experiment with Fistek, declare their independence, assess, and save a kidnapped noble child. They have no idea that the deadly hired hand Leo Bonhart has been following them around, leaving a path of death that threatens their fragile independence. As they travel through the Ysgith swamp, the Hanza encounters deadly natural hazards, spirits, and illusions. In the midst of the danger, Geralt and Milva have a passionate talk that is made even more intense by the stress of her pregnancy. The significant stakes and growing sense of urgency become even more apparent when Yennefer informs Geralt about the losses at Monte Calvo, including the deaths of Vesemir and Istred. Soon after, Emperor Emir discovers the truth about Terran, the fake Ciri, in Nilfgaard, and comes to the conclusion that the true Ciri's Ciri's fate cannot be changed in order to advance his own political goals. In the meantime, Ciri gains skills and confidence while saving another child, taking control of Hotspur's horse Kelpie and getting ready to face Leo Bonhart in jealousy. In the crucial Battle of the Bridge, the Hanza defends themselves against Nilfgaardian and Northern forces. The bridge is held as Geralt and Kaer battle side by side, showing bravery and loyalty. Queen Meve formally knights Geralt, making him Sir Geralt of Rivia. Just then, Yennefer establishes the Lodge of Sorceresses and begins her pursuit of Vilgefortz through portal travel. Ciri and the rats face a brutal confrontation with Leo Bonhart, suffering heavy losses that test their resolve. In the final moments, Emperor Emhyr commissions a beast to hunt Geralt. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments for more interesting videos like this.